You mentioned earlier, which I unfortunately agree with you, that podcasts are a pale technique compared to reading a book for mastering something, understanding something, absorbing something. You say generally, it's a quote, you say generally podcasts and summarizing apps are useless as shortcuts to information. Books remain the best technology ever invented to understand life in the world. There is no alternative. Putting aside the cheap shot at podcasts, but I do agree with you. Talk about what I would call, I don't remember if you use this word or not, but it's what I think about is grappling. You know, when you read a serious book, Siobo There Below is an extreme example, but even Dostoevsky, a writer who stood the test of time, there are passages, as I think you mentioned, that you're going to struggle to get through them. You may be bored, you may not understand the context, you may lack the background for some of the things that are being discussed, but oftentimes you're being presented with an idea that you've never encountered, and you've got to grapple with it. Grapple with it in the sense of first understanding it, and then seeing what's significant about it. And I think about that a lot in the world of AI that we're entering, and how AI is an anti-grappling device. It just says, too hard for you. I'll explain it. Yeah, tell me in a paragraph. Tell me in 2 paragraphs. Tell me in a page what this book is about. And that's a tragedy. I'm very concerned about it.
Yeah, I completely agree. And the point you make is a really good one. I often feel this way about poetry, actually. I love reading poetry, and I read quite a bit of it. And I always think every time you read a great new poet, you have to it will often seem bewildering. I remember reading Sylvia Plath the first time in my teens and thinking, this isn't poetry, this is just ranting nonsense. And I read her a bit, and I read her again and again and again, and I suddenly realized that I was being shown a whole new way of seeing the world that couldn't have been summarized, and it couldn't have been précised. And I guess part of the kind of grappling process you're talking about, I think, is kind of having a bit of humility as a reader and saying, I'm being presented with something very different to what I've encountered before. And your brain will start fighting. You'll go, no, this isn't how it is. I know how it is. This is nonsense. And then you kind of learn to say, no, look, I'm going to sort of allow myself to be shown, and I'm going to put myself through the experience of this book, and it's going to be difficult, and it's going to be bewildering, and I may not like it often, but I will trust, because this person is a great writer, and people have told me this, that I will have my mind changed and my worldview changed by the difficulty of this process and by its strangeness. Obviously, not every book is going to show you a new world with its difficulty and strangeness. Those sort of shoddy social science books you referenced aren't going to do that. But I think with a great book, submitting to the difficulty and submitting to the weirdness is a really important part of the experience of reading. And the problem with AI is that you can just cut that bit out of it. You can cut the difficulty out of it. And the difficulty often is what is remaking your mind.